Welcome to New Broker, the podcast dedicated to providing insights and inspiration for building a new broking business.
Hello and welcome back to the latest episode of New Broker. And this week we're talking to a Sydney-based broker that you might have seen around the traps if you've been to any of our events recently, or if you saw the finalists for the Australian Broking Awards this year. Ankur Ahluwalia from Smartfinn Advisory in Quakers Hill here in Sydney was up for finalists for New Broker of the Year 2025 and has been really smashing the lights out since he started broking in January 2024. Fast forward to now and he's been making a name for himself as a broker that is specialising in resi loans. And so in this episode of New Broker, I wanted to find out how he's done it all. Welcome, Ankur. How are you going?
Yeah, very good, Annie. Very good to be here and thanks for having me.
Thanks.
It's a long time coming, actually.
Is it?
Because I've been watching this and listening to this podcast even before I started broking. And it has been really helpful, to be very honest.
Okay.
Has been really helpful to do the research work by listening to other new brokers, listening to elite brokers, and just feeling like I can do this by knowing this beforehand. So yeah, it's a kind of a full circle today.
Full circle. Hooray. And I'm so glad it's useful. And it's always amazing, I think, like when we meet people who've been listening to the podcast before they became a broker, and also hearing like the things they want to know. Because actually I had someone today reach out to me who came to our New Broker Academy earlier in the year, and they were like, I've been listening to the podcast religiously. And I was like, great, what do you want to know? Because we're here to serve you, basically. What are the sort of things? And he was asking about how you get across policy quickly, because he was like, this seems like a difficult one. So I might ask you that in a bit. But first up, Ankur, you've been broking since January 2024, became a broker. But before that, you were in finance as well. You've been an accountant for most of your career. Tax accountancy seemed to be the dominating form, you poor thing. So was it just like, you got to the end of your tether with being like, I am done with reading receipts and spreadsheets. I want to now go into broking, because you didn't really get too far away from receipts and spreadsheets. What was the decision to become a broker?
I guess the point is right. Tax was too taxing for me, I guess. But it's a long story if I take the time of it. I was working in accounting and tax since 2012 when I qualified my chartered accountancy back in India. Came here in 2017, so worked almost 7 years in corporate tax again, in corporate as well as public practice firms. And while I was working in probably my last full-time role, I had like the biggest leave of my corporate life, which was the paternity leave.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for my son. So, yeah, thank you so much. And that was the time when kind of things changed. It's also the time when people get the time to think about something that they kind of make changes. But to kind of recap, prior to going on the leave, I was actually running for a promotion. So, and I was kind of slogging everything to make it happen. Didn't really focus too much time on the family and just kind of gave it my best shot. But to my dismay, it did not happen just because things were not in my control. I could not get the work that I wanted to do and just could not happen. And it just hit me hard while I was off for my pat leave, that have I given too much control over my progression to someone, and how can I get that back?
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing? And is this something I'm really passionate about? Had I been promoted today, would have been any different, or I would have been just running for another promotion and again and again? So the answer was very clear. I really needed something which I could take a control on, which was obviously going self-employed.
Yeah.
And then I thought, then what to do? I just had no idea. And I really recapped my life and thought, what is something that really excites me? And I could remember that when we bought our first home in 2020, real estate was something that really excited me. I even used to go to auctions even after we purchased our own house, and my wife used to be like, what's
just
happening?
For fun?
What's going on? And it kind of really excited me. I kind of helped my friends buy properties, help them in the due diligence and stuff. And it really excited me. So I thought that's something maybe I can think of. And I thought I also don't really want to go away from what I have done in the past in terms of numbers, accounting, tax. So I thought, what is the way to actually make a combination of real estate as well as numbers? And mortgage broking was
Broking.
it.
There we go.
And I thought, okay, let's give it a go.
Yeah.
What's the worst case scenario? What can happen? The worst would be I'll go back to a job, to a tax job, which is fine.
Yeah, that's
so
good.
Let's
good
give
job.
it a shot.
That's a good job. So how did you then make the leap? Like, did you start sort of, obviously listening to the podcast, but did you start sort of interviewing different aggregators? Did you go and find other brokers to talk to? Like, did you use a broker when you bought your house in 2020?
Yes, we did. And the service was pretty good.
Yeah.
I would not complain. But the research involved, obviously, podcast, and then reading up on forums, different Facebook groups, which have a lot of mortgage brokers on it, and they advised how to start and all that. Plus, what I did was I just went all out on LinkedIn and talked to anyone who was coming up in my feed as broker.
Yeah.
And I looked at all the broking award listings to talk to the top brokers if I could, to understand what is there in the industry that I'm looking at. Are there any pitfalls that I have to avoid?
Yeah.
Is there something that I really have to be equipped with? And I really got a positive feedback from a lot of brokers that you're coming from a very good background. So this will really help you, give you that edge in the industry, and you should give it a go. And I was like, okay, that's very,
that's good.
very encouraging.
They're encouraging.
Yeah. So like just after that, I started searching for different ways in which I can enter the industry. And I think it was, I from my research, I found there were two ways. One, either I go with the aggregator first and then let a mentor being given to me through the aggregator, or I go the mentor route and just go by the aggregator they have got. Like choosing the mentor first and going with the aggregator who they are aggregating with.
Yeah, okay. So when you, because we actually first met at New Broker Academy in 24. So I think your first...
Probably my first,
first few months.
One.
And I remember at the time you were sort of saying like, there's so much choice and like there are so many people out there, because you could go brokerage or franchise. You could be part of, a loan writer underneath someone. You could be your own broker. There are so many different avenues. And I think a lot of people are like, how on earth do I choose one?
Yeah, it's hard.
For you, it sounds like you really wanted to be your own sort of self-employed boss. You didn't really want to go underneath someone under a salary. So did you end up doing that, or did you end up doing the other, like actually becoming an employed salary broker?
I think it was, now I am very clear, but at that time I wasn't. Initially, I did start with Smartfinn as a contractor broker. But at that point of time, in the first 6 months, I was also working a part-time job, like in the tax field as well.
Yeah.
I was working 3 days a week. So 3 days a week doing the job as well as doing the business on the side.
Yeah.
So when I thought I have to go full-time in like 3-4 months, I was thinking of going to a bigger brokerage and joining a bigger brokerage as a PAYG or a kind of a mixed role where I can get my leads as well as work on their leads. Because to be honest, I was not confident whether I would be making it by going in by myself. I haven't done sales in the past, and there were some pushbacks as well in the industry where I got to know, because I don't have lending and sales experience, maybe I'm not getting a role like with anyone. So it was hard at that point of time. It was a challenging situation. But I guess the one thing that I did was I just thought, okay, I've taken too many pushbacks, man. I don't want to go anywhere else. I really want to give myself a one full-blown chance and see how it goes. And again, what's the worst-case scenario? You have to go back to a job, you go back to a job. That's it. You have to go as a loan processor, you go as a loan processor. At least you have given yourself a chance, and I don't have any regrets after that.
Yeah.
So in August 24, I left my job, like even the 3 days, because I was like, I cannot focus on both the things.
Both, yeah.
And from September 24, I went in all in, and that was probably the best decision of my life.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
And but still with Smartfinn.
Yeah, with Smartfinn.
So how did you find Smartfinn?
So it was actually one of the Facebook groups I was thinking of, like I was discussing on as to how do I start and stuff like that, where Demel, the head mentor at Smartfinn, he commented and started talking to me.
Demel George?
Demel George.
Yeah.
And I had a chat with him initially. He told me, come in sometime and have a look and see how you feel with other brokers. There are also part-time as well as full-time brokers working here. So you could get a hang of things. And I went in there. I really liked the vibe. Actually, I really liked Demil in person because he was a very non-salesy, non-pushy kind of person. And once I was ready to go with him, I was ready to start because I was so keen to start. And even then he told me, no, you go out and do your own research, have a chat with other aggregators and see what you like so that you don't regret it later on. I was like,
Good for him.
That's a very good one.
Yeah.
And that actually, on the other hand, attracted me more to join him. I did do my own research then afterwards and had a few chats with other aggregators as well. But I really wanted, because I was coming new to industry, kind of non-lending background. So I was like, I really need support in terms of lending policies and processes. I don't have any idea about that. So I thought I should go firstly with the mentor, and whosoever they aggregate with, I don't really cared about it at that point of time. And like almost 18, 20 months after that, I have no regrets in doing that.
No regrets. Good. So you said, like, when you first started, you were part-time still doing tax. And I think so many brokers when they first start are like, the typical one we always hear is people Uber driving in between because they're like, I'm not going to make ends meet. But I think actually a lot of the time it's sort of almost a catch-22 because if you're working part-time, then you're not able to grow the business to get to the point where you can kind of have that as your sole career. But also if you're, starting out on your own, you've got a long time before you actually start making any money. So it's really difficult, I think, for a lot of people to juggle. How do you manage in that, let's say, 5-6 months before you actually start getting any money coming through the door? How long was it before you kind of actually got your first sort of paycheck, as it were, or, your first commission? Because some people, I think, if they're just starting out, are always surprised by how long it can take. For you, how long did it take?
I remember my first settlement was in May 24.
Yeah, so 5 months later.
So paid in June 24.
Yeah, wow.
Because it takes quite a while to firstly get your accreditation sorted. So don't underestimate that time.
Yeah.
It took me almost 2.5 months to get accreditations and everything sorted so that I can write loans with those lenders.
What's the sort of delay? Like, why do you think that takes so long? Is it the lenders take a long time to get back to you? Is it the process itself is long?
I think depends on how many lenders your aggregator is offering. I thought I will just go with everyone on board. So that obviously is a part of the time that is taken because I'm filling up forms, reading up their PDFs, reading up their guidance on every lender, every product, and then going back, answering it. And obviously lenders taking their own time to come back to us. And then there's to and fro.
Yeah.
So that is a process that takes quite a while. Depending on the number of lenders you're trying to aggregate with, you're trying to get on panel with. Mine was like almost 40-ish or so. And I was like, okay, get it done. Get it out of the way so that there's no issues whenever I want to go with a lender and write a deal.
Yeah.
So I was like, why not? Because if there are options, so that is what we are offering as well, right? Like we are offering all the options, so best to have them.
Yeah. So really 5-6 months before you kind of got your first sigh of relief.
Yes.
Some income coming in. What was your first loan that you wrote? Can you remember?
Yes, I totally remember that and really was thankful to the person, still am. Very weirdly, I got this lead, I would say, because I had a friend back overseas whom I never met in Sydney. I started writing LinkedIn posts and he kind of introduced me to his elder brother and we both had a chat. I wrote not his loan, but his elder brother's loan.
Yeah.
Refinanced his owner-occupied loan to St. George at that time.
Yeah.
Because they were offering cash back and they were offering a better rate. Still remember, I was writing that loan, wasn't servicing. And then I was at the Smartfinn office and the team really helped me to work that out. That there is also a streamlined refinance thing that you can do it. And when I did that, it did pass through. And I was like, oh, okay. Had this team support not been there, I probably would not have done.
Known. Yeah. And I think that's so important, isn't it? When you're first learning and becoming a broker, is having that knowledge around you. A lot of people, I think, whether it's through a mentor or whether you're working with someone, but having that kind of knowledge base to pull from when you're first starting really important.
Yeah.
And they must have been pretty chuffed with that, saving them some money.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's still happy with that, and he's still working with me on his other loans as well, and kind of recommending other clients to do that as well. So it's pretty good.
So when you joined Smartfinn, did they help you with lead generation, or did you still have to find all your own leads?
So with Smartfinn, the the model was such that you have to get your own leads.
Yeah.
Because they just focus mainly on mentoring. But in terms of mentoring, they also mentor you on how to kind of find leads, how to market yourself. They also provide some marketing content that you can use.
Yeah.
But yeah, end of the day, you are out and you're getting your own leads.
So what are you doing? You know what? No, I'll take a break first. We'll take a quick break here, Ankur. When we come back, I'd like to find out how you're actually doing that, what sort of loans you're writing at the moment in your process, and we'll get into that just after this message. So nowadays, I mean, I think I see you a lot on LinkedIn, but I'm sure you're on other social platforms as well. How are you getting your name and brand out there? Are you doing it through social media? Are you doing it through, like physical engagements or sponsorships? Like, how are you actually building the Ankur Ahluwalia brand?
I think LinkedIn is a big one for me, just because I have probably the most connections there, most followers there. So as compared to my other social media platforms. So, and also LinkedIn is kind of very aligned to my personality, I would say. I'm not the one who would dance on a TikTok, make those kind of clips. Maybe today I'm not, but someday.
Maybe next year.
So I've always wrote educational content on LinkedIn or some story writing on LinkedIn, which has really connected me to people whom I knew from my past background in corporate.
Yeah.
And I've got a few clients from there, and I still feel it's a very good platform to kind of to work on. But I also post on my other social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
Maybe not that kind of content that goes on LinkedIn, because again, Facebook and Instagram is more like a reel and a image kind of platform. So yeah, do that as well. Haven't started any sponsorships, but something in the coming. And referral partnerships is another one that I've started, but really want to build that in the future.
Yeah, awesome. And I think this is something, again, once you've kind of done your first year, you've settled your first loans, you're kind of starting to feel like, okay, I know what I'm doing now. The second year is kind of about then bedding that down. And then for a lot of people, the third year is about building.
Yeah.
So you're kind of on track. You're about 19 months in. So wait, I can't do the maths.
Yeah, I feel January is
less.
around 2021.
2021, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So looking at kind of, you're on track now to be building the business. But for what the kind of loans that you're writing, do you decide to specialize in any area when you first started? Did you do everything and anything? Like, what kind of things did you want to start out doing? And then what have you ended up doing?
I think it's pretty much in line with what I wanted to do and still doing, is mainly resi.
Yeah.
I write mainly resi loans. A good split of it is investor lending. I think almost 50% of my loans would be investors.
Oh, wow.
Partly, half of it would be SMSF and half of it is just resi, investment in personal names or family trusts. And the rest would be first home buyers and refinances.
That's a high split of investors, particularly SMSF.
Yeah, SMSF I think is probably one big chunk of my business. Probably because at the very beginning, it was my third loan and it was my first SMSF. Yeah. Like my third one was my first SMSF, and I really did the research around it and how to do it, and did a few loans after that in SMSF, and I kind of realized that this space is not really tapped into. A lot of brokers didn't want to do it. That is why clients came to me, probably because the ticket size was not that huge, or probably it's too complex. I don't know. For me, I don't think it is now. Maybe coming from an accounting background also helps at times, understanding structures and stuff. But I realized that SMSF is something that I can really tap and make my market entry through, because everyone's doing resi, everyone's doing investment. What am I doing special is what I was thinking. if I have to get into a market of 21,000 brokers, what am I doing? So my first thought was SMSF is something which I can do and really make my market entry through. And that has helped. And that has kind of happened in the past, that I've written SMSF loans for a few clients. Those were small ticket loans, obviously, but through that, I have not only got other SMSF lending, but also got their home loans, also got their investments, like full portfolios coming through.
Yeah.
Just because I've really helped them do the SMSF easily, where they found it really hard in their own background or in their own experiences with other brokers.
Yeah, and I think especially for like a consumer that doesn't have that much financial knowledge, if you start talking about like LRBAs and like bear structures, they're like, oh, this is too difficult. I don't know what this is. Please handle it for me. So it's a good one to kind of, I suppose, show, like, if that's your first one, to show that you can do it, and then hopefully go on to other things in their financial needs, their credit needs. When it comes to then, I guess, writing resi, so you're here in Sydney, do you mostly have local clients or are they kind of everywhere?
I've got mostly everywhere. I think I've got clients in almost all states of Australia now. It's across Australia, and it's also because it's mostly investors.
Yeah.
They just talk to each other and kind of refer professionals, and they could be based anywhere. It's just they are in a community of investors and they just kind of refer each other. So if I tell you about my average loan size, it's 650,000 or so.
Okay.
Which is
small for Sydney, but big for everywhere else. Yeah.
Yeah, for Sydney, it's like nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's good though. I mean, also it shows that it's about really, at the end of the day, like customer service and how many kind of clients you're servicing rather than the big size of dollar values. And I think this is always our hard thing when we talk about numbers on the podcast, is being like, well, where are they based and how many loans does that equate to? Because like I remember doing a podcast a few years back and this broker had written something like 500 million that year. Wow. But one loan was 250 million. So he was a bit like, well,
commercial.
Exactly. Just like one huge commercial loan. So it's a bit like, well, just remember to take that with a pinch of salt, because it's not like he's writing thousands of loans. Yeah. Anyway, I've got sidetracked there. When you're looking at then building your business, when you started out, did you kind of make a plan of being like, this is what I definitely want to be achieving? I mean, I know that obviously you said being your own boss was important. You had a young family. So being like, I want to have my own sort of structure and be the master of my own future and fate. What did you kind of have it planned for the broking career that you were going to go down? Did you kind of write a business plan? Did you talk to Jamal about like how you were going to do that? What did your first kind of blueprint look like?
My first blueprint was to just equate what I was earning in my corporate role.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do somewhere around 20 million.
Yeah.
Right, 20 million. I knew settlement is something.
20 million, yeah.
Yeah. Would love to.
That'd be great.
But writing 20 million was my first goal in the first year. We did get there, exceeded this.
Good.
And I thought that's probably it. But it actually was achieved in like less than the time that I thought it would be. Probably because I was not confident initially as how will this happen? Because I did have a business plan, but never knew how it will go through. And because everyone used to ask me, where will we get your clients from? I was like, I don't know.
Do you know anyone? Yeah.
So that's something that just kind of, it was more of taking the first step and then going slowly, baby steps from there, and achieved that 20 million, I think, 3 or 4 months before the timeline, and then we raised the bar, and then we raised the bar again, and then we achieved that, and that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you hit the 20 mil in your first 9 months, let's say, you kind of then, were you like, oh, I want to now get to 50 mil, or did you kind of just do it based on, I just want to do more?
I had like a numbers. I went to 25 and then to 30.
Yeah.
And then we exceeded 30 and closed that year. Didn't settle 30 for sure, but yeah, it was good.
That's a good point, actually, talking about like conversion. So a lot of people, I think, also when they first start out, assume that every person they talk to and every loan they submit will settle. That's obviously not always the case. Things come up, things happen. Sometimes lenders will change policy. Sometimes something happens in your client's life. Sometimes there's an issue with serviceability. Like you don't know what it is. Yeah. what do you do in those instances? Because it can be, I'd imagine, quite disheartening if you've put in all this work to put a loan through that you think will service and then it never ends up settling. How do you kind of manage that?
Yeah, that's the hardest one when I get a call from assessor and the first sentence he would say, it's not servicing. I was like, shit. So that's the only thing that obviously we have to care about. Firstly, before lodging, that everything in the deal is working out. But if it does not service and we know this lender is not working, then the best part is that we've got heaps of options.
Yeah.
If we move the deal somewhere else. But that is, again, something that we plan to do prior to lodging. If it's not servicing with probably the most competitive lender, we go to another one.
Yeah.
But if it comes through where I'm on a call with the assessor, we've already lodged and it's not servicing, the deal is not passing, we try to make what we can do in terms of, let's say, there are levers to play in terms of a credit card reduction or what can a client do to make it better, whether we go the interest-only period from a 5-year to a 3-year, those kind of things. And if it's working out well for the client's objectives, then we go for it. Otherwise, we kind of pivot the strategy.
Yeah. Can you give me an idea, just for anyone who's listening who might not yet have written their first loan, what sort of things would be flagged that would mean it wouldn't service?
I guess there's heaps of things, could be anything. But I think the basic thing that we really need to care about as a new broker would be the income components and what the policies are with different lenders, because every lender has a different policy on how they would look at bonus, how they look at overtime, how they look at self-employed income, whether they will take it 80%, whether they get 90%. I think that's the good and the bad part of broking.
Yeah.
Good because that's how you become a specialist, that you know where to place this deal.
Yeah.
And bad, or probably the challenging part, is the same as well, because every lender has their own policy, which I think is more good, because if not servicing with one, you can always go to the other.
Somewhere else. I think that's such a great point. And I think particularly with things like investor clients, for example, the percentage of shading is different, what sort of rental income, how they're treating rental income.
Yeah.
That's really important to know. And I think, again, this goes to why so many people use a broker, is because they're like, this is too difficult to understand who is offering what.
Yeah.
I need someone who already knows this. And I think that's why almost 78% of people use a broker.
Yeah.
When you actually come to servicing, do you use any tech for that? Do you use any tools to help you in kind of thinking about where you're going to place your loans?
I think the biggest one is Quickly.
Yep.
And probably every broker should use it if they aren't using it. I think most of the brokers do use it. It's probably the best tool I've got on my table. And I think that really helps to also give a comfort to the client, even while on a call. If he's able to tell me his numbers in clarity, I would give him a number, like a borrowing capacity range, straight away on the call. That helps us as well to know whether there is a deal which we should make an effort on, or this is something in the making and probably would need another 3 months for the client to come back with better numbers or stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think that has really helped us in kind of turning around deals and working out the servicing the borrowing capacity. I could not imagine how people would have done it prior, having an Excel calculator of every lender, and with all the number of lenders that we've got, it's so hard to do that and so time consuming.
Yeah. 100%. And this is why I think the average time to write a loan, it used to be 15 hours and now it's around 8. And I think a lot of it is just because technology has accelerated along the way. I always think it's funny though when you hear some of the older brokers, they'll be like, you always hear your parents be like, back in my day, we used to do this. I feel like older brokers now do that. They're like, back in my day, we used to have to do this manually.
Yeah.
And younger brokers are like, well, great. Well, we don't have to do that. So
yeah,
joy for us. When you then look at the sort of things that you do to help you write loans more quickly. So, sorry, I'm not saying the brand. When you
advertising.
Exactly. When you look at writing your loans more efficiently, is there anything that you're sort of else doing? Do you have a specific process you follow now? Did you have one when you first started? How did you get to the process that you're following?
Didn't have any process at all in the beginning. I'm a guy who is just get the work done. I really need to work hard to get the deal, get it sorted, get it lodged. We'll work out the process later on. But recently, since I've hired some offshore staff, who helped me with the processing side. I thought it's really, really required that I have a process. And I now, like in the last few months, have really realized the importance of it. So we really worked on getting some process down, as in some training videos for them to look at before they lodge. And maybe once they join the team, what do they do in terms of putting in things in CRM? How do they put that through? How do they send links to clients? And how do they service, like do the servicing and stuff? So yes, we've got some processes, some checklists and templates that the team uses to make it more efficient and also make it more uniform, so that every client gets the same experience.
So when you come to using the offshore team, is that an offshore team that Smartfinn provides, or did you hire someone yourself?
I hired by myself.
Yeah.
Smartfinn also provides, I think, but I hired them by myself. I hired someone who is offshore working. She had some experience in working as a loan processor. So I hired her in February this year, which was like a year after.
Yeah. And that's quite, good. Like you kind of able to hire someone that quickly. Mm-hmm. Did it make a difference to the numbers you were writing or what you were doing?
Absolutely it does. And as all experienced brokers say, get a support before you need it. It's actually so true. And I think I made the right call in terms of timing. It was not very early, it was not very late. But because when you get a staff on, even if they are experienced, you will want them to work as per your style of working. So it does take some time for them to actually adjust to that. And yes, it helps like heaps, because you get the time off the processing and you can then work on more client-focused work and kind of have those calls, have those meetings, and still get the work done in the background, which is amazing. I think not just work, I think also gives you time to take off the work and go off somewhere if you have to, if you travel and stuff like that. Enjoy your life, and while the work still gets done.
100%. And I think this is why, again, like so many people are now really choosing to hire staff so that they can do that. They can bring in more leads, they can convert more. And I think as you build the business, that seems to be the way that it goes. We've done some podcasts recently with some brokerages, top 25 brokerages actually, and they've got, huge systems and teams and processes, and they're all like able to do a huge volume because they've got a lot of support and systems in the place. So it's good to see that, you're doing that early and finding some support and freeing up some time. When it comes to actually then, I guess, the things that you're kind of really excited about when it comes to broking, like do you find, let me start this again. When it comes to actually the things you most like about broking then, what kind of gets you out of bed, like, jumping out of bed in the morning being like, I can't wait to do this? What's the best bit about broking?
I think the best part is, firstly, the impact that I have on clients. It really feels that you are doing something that is impacting their everyday life. They are waiting for a response from you at times. And like earlier this day, I had a call with an assessor this morning and just got an unconditional approval for a client. Thank you so much. It was a hard deal to crack. But when I sent that message to my client, it was like, I was almost in tears and she was as well. Buying her first home, have HEX debt, is a solicitor, wanted an exception because it was not really clear on her job description that she works as a legal person. So it was a hard one to crack. But when it happens, oh man, the feeling is so good. That's the best part about doing broking, I would say, that you can have a direct impact on people's life. You help them get to their home, you help them get an investment, build wealth. And this is something that kind of motivates me to keep going. Which was also a reason to move into this, because my corporate life was like more of backside on the desk working on numbers. This is numbers, this is people, and this is impact, which is like the best combination, I'd say.
Yeah. And can I ask which lender you used for that loan?
CBA.
Yeah. We're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, I'd like to talk to you about what's next for you, where you plan to go in your broking career, what sort of challenges you faced along the way and how you overcame them, and your top advice for new brokers too. We'll get into that just after this. So, Ankur, you've talked about some of the challenges, I think, earlier on around the time it takes to accredit, to get a loan first started, to get a loan first settled. What other kind of big issues have you faced as a broker? Was there any surprises along the way that cropped up that you were like, why is this so difficult?
I think policy is one thing, but the processes, as different lenders have sometimes different processes in lodgement, in the way how they would talk about post-settlement stuff or how we give them additional documents. Some lenders have it one way, some lenders have it differently. Maybe they say a few lenders have it like a lodgement on AOL, others have on Loan App, someone have on a PDF form. That's something that I feel it can be uniform and should be uniform to make it more seamless. And once we are trained on, let's say, AOL, now we have to get ourselves trained on Loan App as well. Now we have to get ourselves trained on something else. So it kind of makes it a bit harder because it involves training. It involves another time-consuming process to do it. That's one. That's if that can be uniform, that would be amazing. And I think the one biggest bugbear that every broker would face would be clawbacks. I knew about it through my research initially that yes, clawbacks are part of what we do, and I got hit by it as well recently. But the thing is, I guess it's something that's kind of in discussions to make it more prorated based on how much time the client has stayed with the lender, which is an amazing thing if that can be done. And I think that's probably the biggest one.
Can I ask, if you don't mind, for the clawback that you had most recently, how long it was before they refinanced?
One was 3 months.
Ooh.
I think probably because the partner of that applicant was a staff of one of the major lenders. So
they got a better deal.
They got a better deal, obviously. That was one. And the other one was a weird one. I could not understand the reason. It was 6 months, which again was pretty quick to go through.
Yeah, and I think particularly now in this climate where rates are going down, a lot of people are kind of going, well, if they had gotten their loan, let's say in January 25, since then rates have gone down, 3 times, I think. So they're kind of being like, well, maybe I'll refinance and not tell my broker. So it's really important to be super across what all your clients are doing, but easier said than done when you've got a lot of clients.
That's right.
How do you account really for clawbacks? Like, did you kind of set aside like a percentage being like, I'm expecting this much to go each year? Did you not account for it at all? Like, I'm just wondering for anyone who's kind of just getting out in their career as a broker, what sort of things did you do to put in place to manage the clawback impact?
To manage the clawback, we have started doing repricing for every client every 6 to 12 months. So every 6 months we send an email out saying that, are you at the most competitive rate? Please let us check. And they would share their details. We would order all valuations and see where we stand and if we can get a better rate for the customer from the existing lender. Or if we have to, then we refinance to another one.
Yeah.
So that's one way to keep it manageable. And the other part of providing for it is, I've heard a few experienced brokers talk about it as in 10 to 11% is something that we should provide for. So I've had it in my mind that 10% of the book is probably something that I might have to let go.
It's so depressing, isn't it?
Is very
It's so
depressing.
But thank you for sharing that. When it comes to then, I guess, if you were going to be looking at the qualifications as well that broking has. So I know that you're a MFAA member, so you've got to do the diploma after a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
What did you find? How did you find that experience? Do you think the Cert 4 and the diploma gave you enough information to become a broker, to actually do it? Or do you think you still need the practical side as well?
I think the Cert 4 and the diploma are probably just good to have. The experience, the real experience is a bit different, or probably much different. I think the Cert 4 and the Cert 4 and the diploma really has to come up with more changes to make it much more practical. And because whatever learning we've got in the Cert 4 and diploma are very elementary, very basic. But what we do in the real life as a broker is much, much harder than compared to what we study. So I guess I think there's another new qualification coming in as well.
MFPA. Yeah, from the MFPA.
So
yeah.
I'm not sure what the curriculum looks like, but...
Well, you should listen to the podcast we did with Anya Panic earlier this month, which goes into the MFPA and what is in that designation. It's interesting, actually. I think mostly there's an SMSF module in there.
Oh, nice.
And also some things around business lending. Business running a business.
Oh, nice.
I'm not advertising this, but yeah, you should go and have a listen if you want to find out more. Just looking then, I guess, at what you kind of want to do then next. So you said you had your targets for the first couple of years. What do you expect to do for the next 12 months? Like, have you set yourself an ambition? Have you set yourself a target? Where do you want to go from here?
There are a few targets. Doubling the numbers is one. Whatever we
Doubling?
did. Yeah.
Wow.
That's the plan. Because if I've written whatever I've written in my first year by myself, and if I've got some support staff, so I have to, because
you pay the bills.
You should someone to pay the bills. And plus, if I have got that support, then obviously I should. So that's one big plan. And then growing the team is another. I think I probably would want another team member to come in and work and kind of support more so that I can go again a bit more off running the business and going on working on getting more clients, getting more leads, and kind of building more of those referral partnerships. Mm-hmm. And while talking about that, referral partnerships, another big target. I haven't really focused on it too much, I would say, in my first whatever time I've done. But now I really want to focus on that, kind of build onto that. Yeah.
How?
How is again coming back to that once I've got the team and got the processes in line, that gives me more time to go out and talk to and meet different accountants, different buyers agents. Yeah. And considering I've got this guidance in the past, which is also good for other new brokers, that you only go to a referral partner once you have score on the board, because that makes you sit on that table showing that you've done some good work in the past.
Yeah.
So that is why I've never focused initially, but now I think it's a really good time to build those relationships. And yeah.
Awesome. And just quickly, before I summarize with maybe some advice for new brokers just starting out, a lot of what we talk about when you're in your first couple of years, all the elite brokers will be like, you need to get all your process done when you've got the time in those quiet months when you're first starting out. And so many new brokers are like, what do you mean quiet months? Like, I'm doing all this work, like I'm learning everything. But I guess it's all relative, isn't it? When you get to really writing a lot of high volume, you really don't have time.
Yeah.
So I guess looking at the sort of things that you kind of do to actually make sure you're not burning out, because there's so much to do when you first start out. How do you look after your well-being? Do you do anything to kind of unwind and de-stress?
I think one is one non-negotiable is the workout, like the gym and stuff I do in the morning before everyone wakes up in my family and stops me back. I go out and get it done, come back before they wake up so that I'll be there. And that's something that puts me in the right headspace for the day as well. The other one would be just spending time with my 3-year-old. He is in his most playful state at the moment, I think, needs me all the time. So playing Hot Wheels with him or making Play-Doh ice cream is one thing that changes my mood and kind of helps me de-stress anytime.
That sounds good. Maybe I'm going to start doing that. Play-Doh ice cream sounds like fun. And if you had any advice, either for new brokers just starting out, or if you could go back into the past and meet Ankur Ahluwalia from 2023 and be like, this is what you need to do to get to a successful broking career, what advice would you give?
I think the biggest one would be back yourself. There's nobody else who's going to do that. So you are the only one who's going to do that. So best to back yourself and go all in if you think you want to do this. A part-time one is really hard. You cannot get money flowing from everywhere. So it's best to go full in and make the most of it while having your back against the wall. I know it's a bit of a hard one, but that has helped me work for my business, and it should for anyone else as well. And I'd say, do not think that if you're not coming from the same background, it could not work for you. Because I always tell, if any broker asks me this, that everyone comes with their own expertise or with their own specialization, I would say, which is coming from your background. If you are coming from an IT background, you might know what IT people want, how their income looks like. So that's your niche. If someone's coming from my background, like an accounting background, it helps me understand structures, help me understand and explain them well what they are signing on and stuff like that. So everyone has their own value, which should not be discounted if they're not coming from a same industry background. And I think the other one is play the long game. Educate and support your clients and genuinely care for them. That's pretty much it. Because if you have done that today, it will come back to you in unimaginable ways.
Yeah.
That has happened to me quite a bit.
Lovely. And thank you so much for your time, Ankur, today to share your story here on New Broker. And best of luck doubling your numbers the next year. Looking forward to seeing that. And we appreciate you coming into the studio to record with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
If you've got any questions for me or for Ankur, then do feel free to reach out. You can reach me at editor@theadvisor.com.au. You can find out more about Ankur at Smartfinn, obviously on LinkedIn or on the website. And do take a listen back to previous episodes on the Advisor Podcast Network. They're all there, going back about 9 years, I think now. Elite Broker, New Broker, In Focus, Women in Finance, and What's Making Headlines, all on the Advisor Podcast Network. We'll catch you next time. We hope you have a great week.